Hello, my dear children. I have a beautiful story about a sweet cat and rabbits. Once upon a time in a green and luscious meadow surrounded by tall trees lived a mama rabbit with her little baby bunnies. They were a happy family who spent their days hopping around the meadow and their nights snuggled up together in their cozy burrow. The little bunnies were curious and playful, always eager to explore the world around them. And Mama Rabbit, with her heart full of love, would watch over them, guiding them and teaching them the ways of the rabbits. One day, while the bunnies were playing near the edge of the meadow, they spotted something unusual. It was a cat, a beautiful white cat with fur as soft as snow and eyes like sparkling sapphires. The cat was gracefully lounging in the warm sunshine, and the bunnies couldn't help but stare at her in awe. "Wow, she's so beautiful," whispered one of the bunnies. "I wonder if she'd like to play with us." But before any of the bunnies could take another step towards the cat, Mama Rabbit rushed over, her heart pounding with worry. "Don't go any closer," she warned her babies. "That is a wild cat, and wild cats, my dears, are known to be ferocious hunters." The bunnies were disappointed. They had only wanted to make a new friend. But Mama Rabbit insisted that it was too dangerous. "Your safety is my top priority," she said, hugging her babies close. "Now let's go home." And so the bunnies, with heavy hearts, turned away from the meadow and headed back to their burrow. As the days went by, the bunnies couldn't help but miss the beautiful white cat. They would often peek out of their burrow, hoping to catch another glimpse of her, but she was nowhere to be found. One day, as the bunnies were playing near their burrow, they heard a small meow. It was a kitten, a tiny ball of white fur with eyes as blue as the summer sky. The kitten looked lost and scared, and the bunnies couldn't bear to see her all alone. Despite their mother's warning, they couldn't resist the urge to help. One of the bravest bunnies approached the kitten and said, "Hello, little one, are you lost?" The kitten looked up at the bunny, and her voice was as sweet as honey. "I am lost," she said, "and I haven't had anything to eat in a long time. I was following my mother, but I got separated from her and now I can't find her anywhere." The bunnies felt a pang of sympathy for the lost kitten. They knew how scary it must be to be alone and hungry, so without hesitation, they invited her to join them back at the burrow. "You can stay with us until we find your mother," said one of the bunnies. And the kitten, with a grateful meow, followed the bunnies back to their home. When they arrived, Mama Rabbit was shocked to see a kitten with her babies. "But how did this happen?" she exclaimed. "I told you not to go near that cat." The kitten explained what had happened, and Mama Rabbit's heart melted at the sight of the lost and helpless creature. She couldn't bring herself to turn her away, so she said, "All right, you can stay here for now, but I'm afraid your mother may never come back for you. You see, wild cats are solitary creatures and usually form bonds with their kittens once they are old enough." The kitten's ears drooped at these words, and the bunnies, seeing her sadness, felt sorry for her. They nudged her gently and said, "Don't worry, little one, you can stay with us. We'll take care of you." And from that day on, the kitten became part of the rabbit family. She played with the bunnies, napped with Mama Rabbit, and ate from her bowl. The bunnies loved having a kitty sister, and even Mama Rabbit couldn't help but feel affection for the sweet and gentle kitten. However, despite the love and care they provided, the bunny family knew that the kitten wasn't like them. She would chase butterflies, climb trees and stalk imaginary prey, while the bunnies preferred to stick to the ground and nibble on carrots. As the kitten grew older, she became more adventurous, exploring further and further away from the safety of the burrow. One day, the kitten didn't return home when the sun began to set. The bunnies were worried, so they searched for her all over the meadow. Where could she be? They called out, their voices echoing through the tall grass. Mama Rabbit was frantic with worry. She knew that the wild cat's instincts were strong, and she feared that her daughter might never return. Just when their hope was fading, they heard a familiar meow in the distance, and rushing towards the sound, they saw the white cat trotting towards them, and behind her, they could see their kitten, safe and sound. Overjoyed, the bunnies rushed to greet their sister, and Mama Rabbit couldn't help but scold her gently for wandering off. The white cat, who had come to collect her daughter, purred softly and explained that she had been watching the bunnies from afar and was grateful for their kindness and care. I never could have imagined that my little snowdrop would be so well taken care of, she said, her voice filled with gratitude. You have raised her to be a kind and gentle soul, and for that I am eternally thankful. Then turning to her daughter, the wildcat continued, Snowdrop, my darling, it's time for you to come home with me. You are a wildcat, just like me, and your place is in the wild. The kitten, however, didn't want to leave. She had grown to love her adoptive family, and the thought of leaving them made her heart ache. The bunnies, too, were sad to see their kitty sister go, but they knew that she belonged with her mother. With tears in their eyes, they hugged and kissed their sister goodbye, and Mama Rabbit, with a heavy heart, led the wildcat and her daughter away from the burrow. As they walked, Mama Rabbit couldn't help but wonder what the future would hold for Snowdrop. Would she live a carefree life as a house cat, or would she follow in her mother's footsteps and become a fierce hunter? Only time, she knew, would tell. Eventually, the wildcat and her daughter disappeared into the forest, and Mama Rabbit returned to the burrow, where the other bunnies were waiting for her. They were all sad, but they knew that they had done the right thing by letting Snowdrop go. Mama Rabbit hugged her babies close and said, Sometimes, my loves, we have to make difficult choices, but if we follow our hearts, we will always do what is right. The bunnies nodded, understanding the wisdom in their mother's words, and so life went on in the meadow. The bunnies continued to hop and play, and Mama Rabbit watched over them with love and pride. Although they missed their kitty sister, they knew that she was happy, and that was all that mattered.